Everyone is talking about Mounjaro, but what if nature has been doing something similar all along? Certain herbs may help support GLP-1 naturally, the same hormone involved in appetite control, blood sugar regulation, and weight loss. In this video, I'll reveal 5 powerful herbs that may help curb cravings, improve metabolism, and support healthy fat loss naturally. Some of these are probably already in your kitchen. Let's get started. But before we dive in, if you're someone who believes in working with nature rather than against it, this channel was built for you. Hit that subscribe button right now and turn on notifications so you never miss what we uncover next. And if you find value in what you're about to learn, please share this video with someone who needs to hear it. It could genuinely change the way they think about their health. Now, let's talk about why everyone is suddenly obsessed with a hormone most people had never heard of 5 years ago. GLP-1, glucagon-like peptide 1. It sounds like something that belongs in a research paper, not a conversation about your kitchen cupboard. But once you understand what this hormone actually does inside your body, everything, the drug craze, the billion-dollar prescriptions, the waiting lists at pharmacies, it all starts to make complete sense. GLP-1 is a hormone your gut produces naturally, primarily in response to eating. When it's released, it does something remarkable. It travels to your brain and delivers a message. You've had enough. It slows down how quickly your stomach empties, which means you feel fuller for longer. It signals your pancreas to release insulin in response to rising blood sugar. It dials down glucagon, the hormone that tells your liver to dump more sugar into your bloodstream. And critically, it quiets the kind of relentless, gnawing cravings that make every diet feel like a losing battle. This is the hormone that Mounjaro and Ozempic were engineered to mimic. These drugs work by activating GLP-1 receptors, essentially amplifying a signal your body was already designed to receive. And the results have been significant enough that the entire conversation around weight loss has shifted. But here's what most people aren't asking. If your body already has this system, if you already produce GLP-1 naturally, what happens when you support that system with the right inputs? What happens when you eat and live in ways that encourage your body to produce and respond to this hormone more effectively? That's the question this video is built around. And the 5 herbs we're going to cover today have each attracted genuine research attention for their potential relationship with metabolic health, blood sugar regulation, appetite, and the biological pathways that GLP-1 is part of. These are not miracle cures. They are not replacements for medical treatment. If you are on prescription medication, please speak with your doctor before making any changes. What these herbs represent is something older, something more accessible, and something worth understanding. The possibility that nature has always contained tools for metabolic balance, long before a pharmaceutical company ever filed a patent. And speaking of things worth understanding, if you're learning something new right now, do me a favor and hit the like button. It takes 1 second, and it helps this kind of content reach the people who need it most. Now let's get into herb number 1. Berberine. If you've spent any time in natural health circles recently, you may have already heard this name. Berberine is a bioactive compound found in several plants, including barberry, golden seal, and Oregon grape. It has been used in traditional Chinese and Ayurvedic medicine for well over 2,000 years, primarily for digestive and metabolic complaints. But in recent years, it has attracted a very different kind of attention. Researchers have studied berberine extensively for its effects on blood sugar regulation, insulin sensitivity, and metabolic function. What makes berberine particularly interesting is its documented ability to activate an enzyme called AMPK, adenosine monophosphate activated protein kinase, sometimes referred to as a master metabolic switch. AMPK activation is associated with improved glucose uptake, reduced fat storage, and enhanced cellular energy regulation. A number of clinical studies have examined berberine in the context of type 2 diabetes and metabolic syndrome, with some trials showing meaningful reductions in fasting blood glucose and HbA1c levels. A widely cited study published in the journal Metabolism found that berberine performed comparably to metformin, a first-line pharmaceutical for type 2 diabetes, in reducing blood sugar markers in participants over a 12-week period. Now, and this is important, That does not mean berberine is a substitute for metformin or any other prescribed medication. What it does mean is that the metabolic activity of this compound is real, studied, and documented. And within that broader metabolic picture, some researchers have noted potential connections between berberine's mechanisms and GLP-1 activity, particularly around gut health and insulin signaling. In terms of practical use, berberine is widely available as a supplement. Standard doses used in research typically range from 500 milligrams taken 2 to 3 times daily with meals. It is worth noting that berberine can interact with certain medications, so consultation with a healthcare provider before use is strongly recommended. 2,000 years of traditional use, a growing body of modern research, and a mechanism that sits right at the intersection of blood sugar, metabolism, and appetite. Berberine is, without question, one of the most compelling plants in this conversation. But berberine is just the beginning. The next herb works through a completely different mechanism, and there's a very strong chance it's already sitting in your kitchen right now, hiding inside a spice blend you've used 100 times without ever knowing what it was really doing. Fenugreek. Fenugreek is one of the oldest cultivated plants in human history. Its seeds have been used medicinally and culinarily across South Asia, the Middle East, and North Africa for thousands of years. In Ayurvedic medicine, it has long been valued for its relationship with digestion and blood sugar. Modern research is now giving that ancient reputation a scientific framework. The key to fenugreek's metabolic potential lies largely in its fiber content, specifically a soluble fiber called galactomannan. Soluble fiber forms a gel-like substance in the digestive tract when it comes into contact with water. This slows gastric emptying, the rate at which food leaves your stomach and enters the small intestine. And slower gastric emptying has a direct relationship with GLP-1 secretion. When food moves through your gut more slowly, the cells that produce GLP-1 have more sustained contact with nutrients, which may support more prolonged hormone release. Multiple studies have examined fenugreek's effect on postprandial, meaning after meal, blood glucose levels. A study published in the European Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that consuming fenugreek seed fiber with meals significantly reduced post-meal blood sugar spikes in participants with type 2 diabetes. Other research has pointed to fenugreek's potential role in improving insulin sensitivity and reducing overall caloric intake, partly attributed to its appetite-modifying properties. Fenugreek seeds have a slightly bitter, maple-like flavor. They can be ground and added to curries, soups, and spice blends. Fenugreek supplements are also available in capsule and powder form. Typical doses studied in research range from 5 to 15 grams of seed powder daily, something this inexpensive, this widely available. With this depth of studied effect on the precise mechanisms involved in hunger and blood sugar, and most people have never once thought of it as anything more than a curry ingredient. That changes today. Now, we're moving into something most people think of purely as a flavor. But once you understand what's actually happening inside your body when you consume it consistently, you will never reach for it casually again. Cinnamon. Cinnamon may be the most underestimated spice in your kitchen. It has been used medicinally for thousands of years across ancient Egypt, China, and Ayurvedic tradition, primarily in relation to digestion and what we would now describe as blood sugar management. And the modern research on cinnamon's metabolic effects is quietly substantial. Studies have shown that cinnamon may improve insulin sensitivity, meaning your cells become more responsive to insulin's signal to absorb glucose from the bloodstream. This is directly relevant to GLP-1 activity, because insulin sensitivity and GLP-1 secretion are interconnected parts of the same metabolic system. When blood sugar is better regulated, the entire hormonal picture around appetite and energy tends to stabilize. A meta-analysis published in the Annals of Family Medicine, which reviewed 10 randomized controlled trials, found that cinnamon supplementation was associated with statistically significant reductions in fasting blood glucose, total cholesterol, and triglyceride levels. One important distinction deserves your attention here. There are 2 main types of cinnamon commercially available: Ceylon cinnamon, sometimes called true cinnamon, and cassia cinnamon, which is the variety most commonly sold in supermarkets. Cassia contains significantly higher levels of a compound called coumarin, which in large amounts may have adverse effects on the liver. For regular therapeutic use, Ceylon cinnamon is the more appropriate choice. Half a teaspoon to 1 teaspoon of Ceylon cinnamon daily, added to oatmeal, smoothies, coffee, or warm water, represents a simple, evidence-informed daily practice with a meaningful metabolic rationale behind it. And right here, this is a good moment. If you're finding this genuinely useful, share this video with one person in your life who is navigating weight or blood sugar challenges. One share from you could make a real difference to someone else. Now, let's talk about an herb that has been quietly dismissed as folk medicine for decades, while the studies tell a completely different story. Ginger. Most people know ginger as a remedy for nausea. What most people don't know is that ginger has attracted a serious body of research around appetite regulation, gastric function, and metabolic health. Research that positions it as far more than a digestive comfort remedy. Ginger contains active compounds, primarily gingerols and shogaols, that have been studied for their anti-inflammatory properties, their effect on gastric motility, and their potential influence on appetite-regulating hormones. A study published in the journal Metabolism found that consuming ginger was associated with enhanced thermogenesis, the body's heat-producing metabolic process, and reduced feelings of hunger in participants. Research has also pointed to ginger's potential role in improving insulin sensitivity and fasting blood sugar levels. A randomized controlled trial published in the Journal of Ethnic Foods found that ginger supplementation produced significant reductions in fasting blood glucose and HbA1c in participants with type 2 diabetes. The connection to GLP-1 comes partly through ginger's influence on gastric emptying and gut function. Similar to fenugreek's mechanism, slower and more regulated digestion creates the conditions in which GLP-1 secretion may be better sustained. Ginger's anti-inflammatory properties are also relevant here, as chronic low-grade inflammation is associated with impaired metabolic hormone signaling. Fresh ginger in cooking, ginger steeped as tea, or ginger in supplement form, all represent accessible ways to incorporate this compound consistently. Research doses have typically ranged from 1 to 3 grams of ginger powder daily. Here's your engagement question for today, and I genuinely want to know your answer. Which of these 5 herbs have you already been using? And did you have any idea they might be doing this inside your body? Drop your answer in the comments below. I read every single one, and your experience might be exactly what someone else needs to hear. And now, the 5th herb, the one I've been building toward. The one that surprised me most when I first looked into the depth of its research profile. Because most people who know this herb think of it as a trendy wellness ingredient. What the studies suggest goes considerably deeper than that. Turmeric. Turmeric's active compound, curcumin, is one of the most extensively studied plant compounds in modern nutritional science. Its anti-inflammatory and antioxidant properties are well documented, but its relationship with metabolic health, insulin sensitivity, and gut hormone activity is where things become particularly relevant to this conversation. Research has shown that curcumin may improve insulin sensitivity and reduce markers of insulin resistance, a condition that is intimately connected to impaired GLP-1 signaling and appetite dysregulation. A study published in Diabetes Care found that curcumin supplementation significantly reduced the progression from prediabetes to type 2 diabetes in a randomized trial, with participants in the curcumin group showing meaningfully improved beta cell function, the pancreatic cells responsible for insulin and GLP-1 related signaling. Beyond blood sugar, curcumin has been studied for its effect on gut microbiome composition. Emerging research consistently links gut microbiome health to GLP-1 secretion. The cells that produce this hormone are located in the gut lining, and the microbial environment around them directly influences how effectively they function. Curcumin's documented effects on gut inflammation and microbial diversity place it in a genuinely interesting position within this framework. One critical practical point: curcumin on its own is poorly absorbed by the body. The addition of black pepper, which contains a compound called piperine, has been shown to increase curcumin bioavailability by up to 2,000%, according to research published in Planta Medica. This is not a small detail. If you are using turmeric for its metabolic benefits, combining it with black pepper is essential. A warm turmeric drink with black pepper and a small amount of healthy fat, which also aids absorption, represents one of the most evidence-supported daily habits you can build around this herb. 5 herbs. One powerful biological thread running through all of them. Berberine, the ancient compound with a modern research profile that keeps turning heads. Fenugreek, the overlooked seed whose fiber content may support the very conditions that encourage GLP-1 release. Cinnamon, the everyday spice with a quietly substantial body of metabolic research behind it. Ginger, the underestimated root whose effects on appetite, inflammation, and blood sugar go far beyond nausea relief. And turmeric, the golden compound whose relationship with insulin sensitivity, gut health, and metabolic regulation runs deeper than any wellness trend ever captured. None of these are magic. None of these replace medical care. But each of them represents something real, a plant with a history, a mechanism, and a body of research that deserves your attention. Your body already has the systems it needs to regulate hunger, blood sugar, and metabolism. These herbs don't override those systems. They may support them. And sometimes, that support is exactly what makes the difference. If this video gave you something valuable today, a new understanding, a new habit to consider, a different way of thinking about the plants around you, please hit the like button, subscribe to this channel, and share this with someone whose health journey could benefit from it. This community exists to recover the plant knowledge that was always ours to have. And we're just getting started. Next time, we're going deeper, into the plants that may support insulin resistance from the ground up. It's one of the most important videos I'll make this year. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss it. I'll see you there.